I don't know. I can never know until it sort of starts on my Twitch here. Starts on my. There it is. Look at that. Holy, we're live. How's it going? This is the Imperial News live Twitch stream. I gotta promote it in a second before we do some introductions, just to make sure people know that we are in fact live. So we're not in here just chatting with ourselves, you know? I think that's a good thing. There's a few places that I like to promote this thing, get a few people in the chat going, because that's a lot more fun. I guess in the meantime, you can all say hi. Ken, you want to say hi?
Hello, and a special shout out to my OK Boomer pals who may be watching.
Okay, boomer. Was that so? You said you have some gaming friends that will be coming in. Is that like the name of your like game clan or whatever you want to call it?
It literally is a World of Warcraft like private server, and
Oh,
it's
that's amazing.
yeah, OK Boomer is the guild name.
Okay, boomer. So why okay boomer?
I don't know. I just joined them. I didn't make it up, but I just thought I was like, okay, sure.
It's that because that was a huge thing during the primaries with that one person. I guess they might have did it on like TikTok or whatever, but it was like this
It
like
was trending for a while.
yeah, it was some I want to say like TikTok model or something, but I don't want to say model and find out that they're not a model, but I think that's what they did. And then uh, she was dancing around in a shirt that was like a Bernie Sanders t-shirt, being like, "Okay, boomer." Like, did
Right.
all these
I
things.
remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah. Is this a new titty streamer? Me? Nick. Maybe in private. I should get an OnlyFans just for you then. uh, so Ken, welcome. We also have Vienno. Why don't you say hi?
Hello,
And
or hi rather.
what you can whatever you want. Be whoever you want to be, Vienna. And we also have Elrond.
Hello.
Greetings. Now this is our Friday stream. We've been on hiatus, I guess, over the break. The winter break is now over. We didn't have a podcast this week because we usually, in the podcast, reflect on the previous week. And the previous week, the Rebel pretty much just did clip shows. And we don't really need to go over clip shows because we already covered the content throughout the year. And so we just go on holiday. What's the focus of the show today? I'm just about to get to that. So we're not covering Rebel specifically, because we're gonna touch some Rebel stuff at the beginning, in particular in relation to what happened, and then I think what we might do, and it's gonna depend how long things go and how things work. But there was a really fascinating video that's going around of Milo Yiannopoulos and Elijah Schaffer. And Elijah Schaffer we'll get into it, but he was someone who stormed the Capitol, if you will, and he appeared in a Lauren Southern documentary. And Milo Yiannopoulos, who's also, let's just say, a Nazi, outed Lauren Southern as a Nazi in many ways. I mean, like, not that we didn't know that she was, but, like, provides sort of his take on why he thinks that she definitely is. And Lauren Southern, of course, got her start on the Rebels, so I think it's relevant. The other thing we might do is there just happened like an hour ago, less than an hour ago, Dave Rubin did a stream with a bunch of idiots, Karlin Borisenko, as well as Elijah Schaffer again. So we might just like dip into that and see what they did. Can we at least spend some time making fun of Bex for shits and giggles? Always. Actually, I'll plug my podcast because we're probably going to have to talk about Bext come. So the podcast will be out either on Monday or Tuesday, and if you want to find that, I'll do this and then I'll throw a link in the thing. And part of that is because and this is going to get into what I'm talking about right now, which is that they're kind of quiet right now about what happened on Wednesday. And part of the reason why they're quiet now because of what happened on Wednesday is because I don't know how everyone else is feeling, but I'm pretty sure what happened on Wednesday was terrible fucking optics for the right. And so you have this thing where each sort of like right-wing group is finding their own way to kind of distance themselves from this. And I haven't dived into all the Rebel stuff. So Rebel has done 2 episodes on Ezra's podcast about this. They're probably going to do another one tonight. And I don't know exactly what they said, but based on the titles alone, I can tell they're trending towards the direction that this looks bad, violence is bad, and we had nothing to do with it. That is my guess, is what the Rebels' take on this is going to be. And the reason why they want to do that is because Keean Bexte was, in fact, at the Capitol doing stuff. Now, I don't know. I personally haven't seen any videos or photos of Keean doing anything nefarious while being there, other than himself being a nefarious piece of shit. And I'll say that in case he wants to sue me and make me as famous as Canada Land. But I didn't see him do anything that I should be like, I don't know, accusing him of working with the seditionists. But he was definitely there reporting on it, and his tweets were definitely pro what was going on there. And then clearly the mood has shifted, and now they're trying to promote this idea. And here's the thing is, Rebel on their YouTube, so I'll go... I got a bit ahead of myself. I wanted to talk a bit about this for a second, but we can go back to that in a second. Rebel on their thing, you can see they released a couple of... so we got Keean, Rebel, Washington. And that's the only thing that seems to be there. So these 2 video here, they're just clips from the actual podcast. That's just Ezra does his little snippets from his show. And so that's it on the Capitol thing. And you could tell it says violent mob, whether or not they're Trump supporters. And this one says, both sides must acknowledge that political violence is unacceptable. And this is with editor at Breitbart News, Joel Pollack, you know. And here's the thing is, we do know on the podcast, right before we took our winter break, Ezra was big on this is a rigged election, it's all fraudulent. And Joel Pollack was kind of like, yes, it's fraudulent, but there's nothing we can do. And so, but they were all on that bandwagon to some extent. Joel Pollack, I will say, less so. But Ezra was definitely... And Keean Bexte was like 100% hardcore, this is fraud, we got to do something. He was all in on it. As soon as the election happened, that Keean was doing that like right as the election happened. So, I don't know how they're going to go forward. My guess is they're just going to stop talking about it. And the reason is because they're realizing this was bad optics. And so they're just going to back away. So what did they do? They just went to what they've been doing all pandemic, which is just like, oh no, the RCMP is stopping me from not wearing a mask in my salon. Oh no, the police gave me a ticket for having more than the legal number of people in a house. Oh no, the police are telling people not to toboggan on a hill because of the pandemic. And they're really boring, and there's no point in watching them. I was hoping you could see this. I love this thumbnail. Toboggan police. And you got David Menzies in a goofy-ass hat. And my hope was that he was going to toboggan down a hill and get arrested by a police officer. But that sadly did not happen. Instead, it was just a boring-ass video of him... interviewing a police officer and then interviewing families at a hill. Sorry, I have a bit of a hate on for Bexte since last January when he did his expose on me. Yes, I'm guessing you're Arc Canada. You're Kurt, right? Yes. My guess is... didn't you tell me too he always wears the same shirt? Sadly, I don't think he wore the same shirt at Washington this time. Looks like it's a bit of a navy blue. But yeah, that was pretty much it on the front of the Capitol. And like, I don't know, like how I at least this week on the podcast we'll have something to talk about in terms of the Capitol incident. But oh my god, I'm sick and tired of covering this. Like, oh my god, why am I getting ticketed for doing things that help spread a pandemic? And I do love, remember, back in October even, Ezra was saying this pandemic was over. And now it's probably as bad as it's ever been in Canada. So congratulations, Ezra. Congratulations. But I did want to say, before we move on from Rebel and get to fun right-wing infighting about their fancy coup, this, I will say, right before break as well, we got this, here, one second, I want to see this in the chat here. I wonder if he ever got back across the border. That's right, Kian was tweeting out. Here's what I want to know, is, and it's hard to tell, like, I'm blocked from Ezra, and I could, like, go out of my way to try to, I have ways that I can try to read his tweets, but at the same time, do I really want to read his tweets? But but I know Bexty, so he, after attending the Capitol, he had to get like a negative test before being allowed on the plane to fly home, and he was making a big stink about that. And in part, like, I don't know to what extent they themselves comply with the regulations, even though they're telling people not to comply with the regulations. So my guess is he complied, and he's going to have to wait, like, however long in quarantine that it is, 1 week, 2 weeks. That's my guess. So he might have to stay in America for a week? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. But here's the thing. Right before the holidays, we got this, what Ezra called the biggest scoop of his entire life. And not only was it the biggest scoop of his entire life, he went on Tucker Carlson. He went on Glenn Beck. He went on Alex Jones. He was making the rounds to promote this idea that Canada was secretly training Chinese soldiers with the secrets of Canadian winter warfare that they can then use in the Himalayas to fight India. And he made this video, and I just want to say, 4 weeks later, it's only got 200,000 views. 200,000 views. And the other thing I want to say is that it's the front video that you get hit with as soon as you arrive on the page. And I don't know if anyone in the voice chat right now or in the text chat could fill me in, but like I feel like YouTube counts a view just by someone who like starts playing the video initially. Like you don't have to watch the whole video through for it to count as a view. Because my guess is a large substantial amount of this is people who just clicked Rebel News. It started playing, and then it triggered a view for them.
Nick is saying you have to watch 6 seconds in the Discord or in the Twitch chat.
So, I love that. Then I love that. Here's cheers to Ezra, that the biggest scoop of his entire life has been barely viewed by anyone. I will drink to that.
Yeah, Jody, I just wanted to quickly say we're not seeing we're seeing a different screen in Discord, just so you know.
Oh yeah, because in Discord, because this isn't the. I'm not going to play anything on the screen that I'm showing the Twitch people.
Okay,
I'm just showing sure. I'm just showing stills from this stupid YouTube list. Now, I guess we'll move on. I don't know. Does anyone have anything else to dunk on Rebel? It's pretty much it, I guess. Again, they're being kind of silent, and my guess is because they're realizing that this is. Does anyone think this looks good for the right?
They're probably assessing whether they're going to outright reject it or if they're going to jump on it was actually Antifa train, you know.
As I said, one of the videos is titled, what was it? It says violent mob, whether or not they're Trump supporters, and that makes me go, are you gonna pull that Antifa bullshit? Which is the thing, like, we're gonna get into it. Like, we know so many, like, for people who cover the right wing, I knew who the QAnon warrior guy was, the guy who was in the Viking helmet with the face paint. I didn't need some, like, I don't know, facial recognition technology. These guys
Yeah.
are like self-identify themselves. I've seen.
Do you mean? I was just gonna say, do you mean future member of Congress Q shaman?
Yes, the Q shaman, and like Baked Alaska. Like I know that. Like I've got that guy's mug emblazoned in my brain from that time he had like a panic attack stream in like a Wendy's parking lot or something like that. And the time when he was at Charlottesville and got completely maced in the face and was like crying about it, and they like poured milk all over him. Which is here's the thing, is like, look at the threads connecting here, right? You had all these people that we've recognized from the neo-Nazis and far right and Proud Boys and all this, who were present at Charlottesville, were present at this thing with at the Capitol with like knives with swastikas on them, with like hand ties because they were ready to like abduct people. And so it's like, what I see the rebel doing right now is exactly what they did after Charlottesville, which is, once you realize this is completely bad optics for us, the car came through and killed that person, he did everything he could to try to like back out of it, because and he had to, because he was tied to it. Why? Because he sent a reporter there, Faith Goldie, who was present when it happened, and who went on to go on a neo-Nazi podcast. And again, who was present at this Capitol building invasion? Kean Bexty. Because every time there's something like this, the rebel sends somebody. And it's like, why is it that your people are always involved in these things? And they'll play it off as like, oh, we're just doing reporting. And it's like, yes, you're reporters who always show up for the shitty things that right-wing people do. And then you try to distance yourself from it and be like, oh, we would never condone this. It's like, yeah, fucking right, you wouldn't condone this stuff. If it had gone the other way and they had actually like succeeded somewhat in a partial coup, guarantee you they'd be all for it. And it would be a completely different narrativizing right now.
Yeah, I would say the one caveat is that with Faith Goldie in Charlottesville, at least, like, she was live streaming as the attack happened, right, and got it on the air. Whereas if Kean was streaming, or obviously he wasn't streaming live, but and they probably learned that from that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they probably learned from that.
Yeah. If he was filming and got any kind of video footage, they're probably, after what's happened, they're probably going to be very, very careful about what they allow to get out there and what they put out there. And again, they're probably going to be thinking about, like, what side of this are we going to go for? Are we going to just do the straight up distance ourselves and pretend Kean was never there? Or are we going to try and create a narrative around, like, oh, it actually wasn't right-wing supporters, it was instigated by left-wing activists that were pretending to be right-wing activists, or right-wing insurrectionists?
Yeah, and I think like Tony made a good point in the chat here, which they say there's always a tightrope they have to walk about how extreme they can be to keep their followers and not get completely banned from everything. And I don't even know if, like, I've always wondered from listening to the show, I get the distinct feeling from Ezra that there's also like a point of like pride in being involved in like right-wing politics. And I think he's like really offended that he's been left out of like the conservative party and doesn't fit in there anymore, and they don't want him around. And you could tell he's always like, even when it came to this China Files thing, like he made a big issue of trying to get Eric O'Toole. And by the way, for anyone who notices, I always refer to Eric O'Toole on the podcast rather than Aaron O'Toole, and I refuse to pronounce his name correctly. I get the feeling like I've been doing this now for like several months that people are like, does he just not know that his name is Aaron? No, I do it on purpose. And I'm going to keep...
Jody anti-Irish racism moment.
I'm going to keep calling him Eric. But so Eric O'Toole, he wanted Eric O'Toole to have him on for an interview and they can discuss this China Files thing. And he got rebuked again by them. And you could tell like he was so hurt by that. Because he really wants to be in the conservative movement and in conservative politics to some extent, and they won't let him. And I say, fuck them. Leave them out, you know. Sort of hope that... Yeah, sorry, go on, Ken. I'll read it then.
Oh, no, I was just saying as in I agree with you. AYE.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Kurt was saying, I sort of hope that things go poorly now for Rebel as they did at Charlottesville. But the clincher will be if he was also among those who stormed the Capitol. Yeah. It would be interesting. Like, there's no way for us to know this. We're never going to get this information. But I wonder if while it was happening, whether there was like some sort of like dialogue between Ezra and Kian as to whether it would have been a good idea. Like, should I go in, boss? Like, I don't know. Like, remember what happened after Charlottesville? No, you know. My guess is there was some sort of calculation, and they probably played it as safe as they could. That's my guess. And in part because, like, I didn't see any footage. I almost feel like the tweet about Kian saying he's going to be delayed came while the insurrection stuff was still happening, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken on that, but I vaguely remember this as all the chaos was unfolding. Kian being like, "Oh, I'm going to have to wait to get into the country," and it's like, you were just there reporting this stuff, and now you're acting like... Now your main concern, rather than the sedition that you just witnessed, is the fact of whether or not you're going to be able to get on an airplane.
He realized it was actually happening, so he instantly ran.
Yeah. Which is like what in their parlance cucked, you know? Starts off at a store selling what are those Rhodesian flags. Yeah. And then as soon as push comes to shove, he gets cold feet. Yeah. He looks like the type of person who would get cold feet. Anyways, Rebel. Now, I guess so. I don't know how much I want to watch of this. I saw this earlier on a stream. Somebody posted a single thing. Now, tell me, is this still what's showing for you on the thing? Is the Milo video still in the Discord?
Yeah, it says
storming the Capitol.
Yeah. Who's storming the Capitol? Milo?
That's the video that's in Discord.
Oh no, so that's not. Why is that? Okay, let's stop. Share your screen. Boom. Is this what you see?
Hey.
What
It
up?
matches.
What matches? The crazy
The Discord and Twitch.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Now, what do we have here? Before we set this up, I couldn't figure out. Maybe someone can do a little bit of sleuthing right now to figure this out. This is so. Elijah Schaffer is the person on the left, and Milo is the person on the right. At least for me, I don't know how this works out in reverse in your world. But Elijah Schaffer, he has a show called Slightly Offensive, and I feel like it's affiliated somewhat with The Blaze or something like this. I could be getting like the little tiny facts wrong here, but he's been a reporter for The Blaze and has been at like all the Black Lives Matter uprisings that have been occurring, and especially one where he was filming people who were taking stuff from a store, and they ended up beating him up. So that was fun. As you do. But so here's the thing we got here. This guy, he was at the Capitol building. Not only was he at the Capitol building, he was the one who went into Nancy Pelosi's office, took a picture of her monitor, and tweeted it out. I think I have the tweet here. Maybe I'll just show it. It's better to see than describe. Pretty sure, did I throw it in the general? Maybe it was the general. Guess we're on hold here. Yeah, here it is. So it's blurred now. So yeah, I guess I'll show the first one. So here's the first one we got here. You won't be able to see this, people in the Discord, but people watching the Twitch will be able to see this. So what we have here was his initial tweet. So he took a picture of Nancy Pelosi's, or at least someone in Nancy Pelosi's office screen with, as you can tell, the email is still open. And it says, breaking. I am inside Nancy Pelosi's office with the thousands of revolutionaries who have stormed the building. To put it into perspective how quickly staff evacuated, emails are still on the screen alongside federal alert warning members of the current revolution. Now notice... Notice the language in this fucking tweet, right? It's not like alert warning members of the current situation or the ongoing attack on the Capitol. It's the current revolution. We are experiencing a revolution. They have stormed the building. It's a revolution. And here I am committing a federal crime. Now, this tweet was deleted. And what we have in its place is this tweet by Elijah. And now, as you can see, if it loads, now as you see, the image is blurred. They blurred out the monitor, leaving only the alert system, and says, not only that, but one of the staffers' computer in her office was left unlocked, leading to concerns of security compromise. I did not see anyone accessing these computers directly, but I took this image because it shows how quickly people fled. So, notice the tone is slightly different. Now there's concerns of security and compromise because they've left their computers open. But he didn't see anyone accessing them. So, like, no one was criming. They were just casually walking into an office they weren't allowed to be in and took pictures of the monitor. Elijah Schaffer, so-called journalist. For the Blaze.
Yeah, Elijah Schaffer, Capitol security expert.
Yeah. So yes, this is who we're dealing with, and we all know Milo Yiannopoulos. Okay, now Milo Yiannopoulos, he's a disgraced and disgusting human being who basically he should have been fully removed from everything ever for being a Nazi piece of shit, but was eventually kicked out of the right wing. Like, the right wing basically jettisoned him because he basically promoted pedophilia on Joe Rogan's show. Basically, there's more to it than that. I don't really care about the nuance of that discussion, but the right wing was disgusted with the fact that he promoted a little bit of pedophilia, and so Milo Yiannopoulos, the right complaining about cancel culture all the time, canceled the fuck out of Milo Yiannopoulos.
I love I love the fact that there even could be nuance to that conversation.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's I'm not even going to get into it. Fuck.
Yeah.
He is a shitty human being. I mean, the other thing is, aside from the promotion of pedophilia, it came out that he basically was working with Steve Bannon, Breitbart News, was a member of Trump's team, managed his campaign, all that fun stuff. He worked with Milo Yiannopoulos to basically spread the Nazism to the youth through things like Gamergate and all that shit. So that's this guy. Now, he's been disgraced and sent off to the world. And so now we're watching Censored.tv. So the idea is Elijah Schaffer, fuck the censors. We're gonna bring Milo back and we're gonna have conversation. And here's the thing. The other thing that we need to know before we get into this clip is Elijah Schaffer here appeared in a Lauren Southern documentary. And this is why we're talking about this, because we're a Rebel-related show. For those of you who don't know, Lauren Southern is someone who got their start. She's a Canadian. She got her start on the Rebel news show, news and scare quotes, Rebel Media. And she eventually left, and I believe she left due to it's kind of conflicted, and I think some of it's going to come out in this clip. There was this individual named, I think, Kaolin Robertson. I could be naming it wrong, but they were someone who felt like Ezra was like screwing them over, and then basically leaked onto the didn't leak. He produced a video basically showcasing how Ezra makes his money through like creating petitions for people to sign, and he basically exposed all that online. And Lauren Southern, I think, either left like around the same time, and so there was like thoughts about like how they were connected and stuff like this. And I think later on, Kaelin Robertson and people who worked with Kaelin Robertson to do the expose on Ezra eventually went on to work with Lauren on some of her documentaries. I might have some of the details messed up here, but I think that's some of what's going on here. And Elijah Schaffer, over here, appeared in one of Lauren Southern's documentaries. And that leads Milo, who's in a particular mood on this stream, to bring that up. I'll make sure that we're in the right spot. Yeah. And then, so here's the thing that I want to acknowledge, first and foremost. Both these human beings, both of them are shitty human beings. So even though there's going to be moments here where Milo does something where I'm like, get him. It doesn't mean that I like Milo. What I like is the fighting. It's good to watch them fight. Let them fight.
And when you say that they're disgusting humans, I mean, I question that with Milo, given that he looks like an aging surfer zombie in this particular clip.
He does look like he really... I mean, I'm not going to judge. Like, look at this shit. I'm a balding man with, like, crazy-ass pandemic hair right now. So, like, I'm not going to judge. Totally. But it does look like he just walked into a gale force and it has blown his hair to the side.
Yeah.
And Elijah looks like he had a shower, so... Anyways, here it comes. Are we ready? I don't know if it's lined up perfectly right away, so I might have to fill it in.
And I don't think that that businesses that market themselves to the right understand that if you upset that activist fringe at your peril, because public opinion ripples out from the extremes, not from the center. Let's move on to Lauren Southern. Lauren Southern is a grotesque and deplorable whore.
I disagree with that, but
and that's okay, and you're going to get the opportunity to say why.
So you can already see the energy that's coming in here. Now, like, I wouldn't use language like this. And I also want to say, like, to paraphrase as well, they're going to talk. There's going to be some sex shaming that we're going to be coming up in this. And frankly, I don't give a fuck what people do on their own spare time, who they have sex with, why they want to have sex with them, and all that fun stuff. So we're not going to get into any of that. But there is going to be some of that. So nothing too vile. I don't think we're going to get into any like rapey stuff. So just in case people are worried about like content that's coming up, we're just going to get him like talking about people having sex. So that's going to be coming up.
Wonderful.
Curtis filled some things in for us, so I'm going to read this here. She left before, but Ezra used her as an example of how Caleb should present himself after leaving Rebel in the leaked audio. I think Ezra says something to the effect of, be like Lauren, who can play the game. Say, I loved working for the Rebel, but now I'm going independent. Right. Okay, now that's coming back. Again, so, like, it's amazing because, like, this stuff wasn't that long ago. Like, but it feels like it was, like, centuries ago. But yes.
Time flies.
Yeah.
She employs people who dox and endanger prominent conservative personalities. She continued to employ video producers and directors who handed Gavin McInnes's travel schedule to left-wing activists and to Antifa. She continued to employ... Excuse me?
Will you be able to expand on this stuff? Just like film
Yes, I wrote 16,000 words about it that I'm happy to send you with all the documentary evidence. Her video producers also defrauded Alex Jones, stole tens of thousands of dollars from Tommy Robinson, circulated false documents about me. They have endangered, defrauded, or simply badmouthed to anybody who would listen half a dozen conservative media figures. In fact, pretty much everyone you care to mention, with one exception, Lauren Southern.
So... this is why I think he's in partly referencing Caleb and the people who worked with Caleb, but I don't know that for a fact. I imagine there's some stuff going on there, but it's also like, I just want to frame it here too. It's like I don't know to what extent, because it wasn't clear to me as well. I know, and it's been a while. I haven't checked in on Caleb Roberts, but I know he kind of like claimed he left the right, but then like still had some pretty right like I don't know all that bullshit. So I'm not saying Caleb's a good person, but here's the thing: is like I personally don't care if they were giving information to Antifa about Gavin's well-being, because Gavin, as we all know, was the creator of the Proud Boys, who is integral to some of the shit that's been going on right now. So fuck Gavin McGinnis as well. But so just saying here, like he's clearly upset about the things that these people did and is associating Lauren Southern with them. And that doesn't mean that Lauren Southern and these other people are good either. But, you know, whatever. It's all infighting. It's beautiful. Let them fight.
I love when the right fights itself.
Yeah.
Which is where they were getting the majority of their paychecks from. Lauren knew about all of this, laughed along with them, and did nothing to stop it for years, and continues, as far as I understand it, to employ them, despite the fact that they are now, thanks to me, banned from the United States. She's using some different ones, or one of them got in and one of them didn't, or whatever. Now, despite all the conservative movement knowing about this stuff, and Lawrence Southern's absolutely catastrophic attempt at a comeback, which was probably the most disastrous comeback since, I don't know, it's between Lindsay Lohan and Bill Cosby.
So, for those who don't follow in these circles very much, recently, so, man, it must have been a year ago, Lauren Southern basically faded away. She was like, I'm going on a break, I'm going away, and she left. And that left rumor and speculation. And then she recently decided to come back to say that she left because she was pregnant, she had a kid, she got married. And one of the things, like, she was getting ribbed constantly by the traditional conservatives who were mad at the fact that she was a young woman who promoted these, like, white nationalist views and yet was not creating a white family and doing everything that she can for, like, white nationhood and all that fun stuff. And so she got bullied all the time for this. And so that was part of the reason, apparently, why she left the internet entirely and stopped making videos and all this fun stuff.
Is she the one who married an Asian man, and that was why the white nationalists hated it?
So, yeah, that came out in an article and stuff like this. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where I don't care about any of it. Like, I don't know to what extent this person actually is South Asian or not South Asian, and I've never seen a picture of him. And, like, at the end of the day, like, I don't care. But it's funny, or not funny, like, really depressing that these are the types of people who actually would care about something like that, right?
Yeah.
That and the fact is, like, it's one of those things, because even Milo Yiannopoulos, right, who, like, out and out spouts Nazi talking points, actively brags about the fact that he has a black husband. And I don't know to what extent they're still together, but, like, you know, that still doesn't absolve any of these people from being completely shitty people who keep spreading white nationalists and Nazi talking points, you know?
Yeah.
So I was right with Kay Olin. I was right. Oh man, these names, it all blurs in my head. Yeah. What was I saying? So Lauren Southern, she left. Okay, so what Milo is referencing right now is she ended up doing a video recently. I want to say in the past 2-3 months. Time's blurring together, but she did a video basically like, I went and had a kid, and now I'm back, and I'm not a right-winger. I'm a centrist, and I'm all about dialogue and having rational discussions. And it was not received well. A lot of people on the right went on her, and everyone else was like, we don't believe you. That's essentially how it went. I also want to say, because I didn't add this, another reason she likely disappeared was because she was involved in the... She basically went to Italy with Identity Europa, which is, given their name, another nationalist organization, white nationalist organization. And they basically went and patrolled migrant boats that were coming in and were shooting flares at them. And that was against... she ran into some legal troubles there, let's just say. So that's possibly another reason why she dropped out of the public eyes. So we will continue. That's just what he was referencing there. But I love, like, here's again, Milo's a shitty person, but that was an amazing jab, calling her comeback the equivalent of Lindsay Lohan and Bill Cosby. So beautiful.
you nonetheless agreed to appear in her latest movie. Talk us through that decision.
All right.
That's
Okay.
called a loaded
How the
question.
hell of an? But okay, first of all, Milo, I will say this. I will say this. I do this full time too, so I know how this works. And I also realize that you've never been one to really lie, and you've always been upfront about things. And I know that a lot of people go way back.
My truth telling has destroyed me many times over, and I'm not about to stop now.
Well, and the thing is like people always give me crap because like I tend to just be like, I naturally my character is that's why I do what I do. I can kind of like revolve around any group of people.
Can we stop the throat clearing and get to the answer?
Wow.
Here's the thing I love about this. Milo being shitty aside, like, holy shit, to just come onto someone's show and just fucking just be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to destroy you.
There's no way that, like, what was this supposed to be about?
I don't even know why you would do this.
And why would Elijah then go and publish it after?
And, like, here's the thing is I couldn't find the video except for this random BitChute link. So, like, I don't even know if this is, like, if he took it down or what. This apparently was released. This was released on BitChute January 2nd, but I don't actually know when this was made, which was actually the one thing I was going to ask anyone. If you have any, like, sleuthing to find out how old this is. But it feels pretty recent if this was released on BitChute January 2nd. But yes, it is, tensions are flaring.
Yes, Milo.
I adore you, but
virtue. Patience is virtue, oh God. Listen, I'm going to tell you that with Lauren Southern, so with this movie Crossfire, which is actually a very good film.
Shut up! None of this is the question I asked you.
I'm telling you,
why would you agree to appear in a movie made by somebody who did this shit?
Well, I need to just see all the evidence, and
okay, so I published a 16,000-word thing, and it has in 2 months, it had 1.4 million page views. I refuse to believe that everybody you have fucking ever met has not read this thing, but mysteriously you have not, and I'm prepared to accept that. Okay.
I've been busy. I've been traveling a lot.
I understand. Moving to Texas, ruining Texas. Have you?
What the fuck?
Oh. Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? I don't even know what that's in reference for, but
Darth Plagueis the Wise. It's from Star Wars Episode 3.
It's
not a story the Jedi would tell you.
Oh, Philosophy. Greetings. We will address that later. We're going. Is it in reference to what's occurring right now in this slam down? Huh?
It's
I don't know how.
reference. We don't understand how it is.
I don't know how that relates, but
yeah, no.
Oh, all right. We're gonna. So I'll just tell you, Shai. This is my own mistake. Shai is a lovely Patreon supporter, but only at a certain level are they supposed to be in here. I just haven't fixed the roles.
Sorry about that. We were trying to stay quiet until you mentioned Darth Plagueis the Wise, and we were like,
that's lovely. I just didn't know. I thought you were gonna make some like deep dive and make some like connective analogies here. Listen, if I could connect one of these people to Darth Plagueis the Wise, we're gonna do it. I'm all for Star Wars analogies here.
So then we have the question, is there any way that this can be linked to one of these individuals killing their master? Because that if we can find that connection, that would very much connect them.
I think this is less about killing a master and just like nihilistic destroying of everything because you lost your position. Because like this is what I really feel, to like bring it back. This is what I feel is what's happening here. Is Milo had a place of like prestige to a certain extent. He was respected. He was sent around into like all kinds of these like conservative conferences and was held up as this conservative demigod figure. And it all came tumbling down. And I don't think he's like impoverished right now, but he doesn't have the same degree of luxury that he once had. And because of that, he wants it all to burn down. Because that's the type of person that Milo is.
I think you can
Darth.
kind of tell that by his mic quality.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we're witnessing right now.
Darth Plagueis the Wise was vain, and he was a really big character for his time, but then he got like overthrown and fell from grace.
All right, then we'll settle on that.
Okay. We're very confused.
That's all right. We will continue with watching this. I don't even know what to refer to this. This epic infighting. Epic infighting.
I'm prepared to accept that you are the only person in the American conservative
this arrogance.
movement who
How
has
did you not read
I'm
my
prepared
story?
to accept that for the sake of argument, and because you tell me so, and I believe everything you tell me. But you must have heard that not only was she kind of like blown out of the industry by these revelations, mysteriously announced she was retiring. Like, who retires after they publish their like masterpiece magnum opus and suddenly announces, "Oh, I'm going to go and have a baby. Give me a break."
Do you know what? Do you know what I heard?
Oh, well, Lauren Southern and Milo used to be close. Southern was sort of his apprentice. Then she killed him? Interesting. I love just the sarcasm dripping off of this is beautiful too.
Do you know what I heard though? Why she got ousted? Tell me if this is incorrect, but from my understanding, she went on a boat with some people from a specific what the left called. I mean, this is the assassination that they were saying. Oh, that there was this anti-immigration thing, and she essentially got canceled for that. Similarly to how you had you basically.
I just want to look at the fucking weaselly way that this guy described an Identity Europa is their name, and they were shooting flares at migrant boats in the open seas. And this is what he's like, oh, they tried to like poison her character. I mean, for this very simple and just action.
Also just said something that got totally misconstrued and people took it and ran with it and said a bunch of bullshit. So that's the last I had heard a few years ago.
I'm going to put on camera. I'm going to send it to my producer right now. And again, if you tell me that you never saw this, you're the only.
I was working in a different industry.
If you tell me that you're the only person in a conservative movement who's never seen this, I will believe you because I believe everything you tell me. And for the sake of argument, whatever, I'm going to put up on camera. I'll send it to my producer right now. An image of a Tiffany bracelet that was left at Paul Joseph Watson's house after Lawrence Southern fucked him.
Sorry, Viet.
I just said, like, quote unquote, send to my producer, which is definitely not him pulling up his phone and then sending it to Elijah because there's no way with this setup that he has a producer.
Yeah. And
unless he's traveling, I don't know.
Or, I mean, his producer could be his husband. I don't know. But if you didn't catch the end of that, he just said that Lauren Southern had sex with Paul Joseph Watson from InfoWars. And this is going to take an interesting turn.
And this bracelet was a gift from a fan of hers from Eastern Europe. It's a Tiffany bracelet, retails for a couple $100, and quite clearly visible on this bracelet are 4 numbers. Can you guess what those numbers are? Nicholas.
I have a feeling, and I know Ken already knows, so we don't have to ask Ken. And I feel like Elron might have been present when I mentioned it. But Vienno, were you here present when I mentioned what's on this bracelet?
Yep, and even then, this is enough of a hint. There are only 4.
In the chat, does anyone... I don't want you to type this in the chat, but can anyone guess what those numbers are on this bracelet?
You should have it in your text, so you can throw it up on camera whenever you're ready. Can you guess what those 4 numbers might be? This is a Tiffany bracelet that Lawrence Southern was wearing morning, noon, and night
Elijah
for years until she mislaid it by leaving it on a nightstand at Paul Joseph Watson's house.
Just show me. I can tell you don't like Lauren. Maybe rightfully so. I just want to see.
I'm terribly sorry. Excuse me. Do not demean and diminish and trivialize what are serious criticisms. I don't give a shit about Lauren Southern as a human being. I'm talking about what she has done.
I haven't heard any of this. This is why you're acting like I'm diminishing. I just haven't heard any of this.
I don't like lots of people. I don't like fucking anybody. I hate everyone. Trust me. I fucking hate everybody. But
this build-up is it's so incredible, and you could just like I can feel Elijah dying inside right now, and it's beautiful.
Milo's having a real normal one.
It's normal to the nth degree. I mean, but here's the thing: is I'm someone who like I used to watch all this content back in the day, because I'm a person who likes to torture themselves. But this in a way is typical Milo. Like if you're going to invite Milo on the show, this is what you're going to get. I don't know what Elijah was thinking in doing this. Like there's a reason why Milo got popular is because like you can tell there's like I'm trying to work like there's a charisma that Milo has in a way that he engages that it's engaging. You get sucked into it. And there's a reason why he became popular during Gamergate and all these things. And so it's like, how would you not know this getting into this situation to then invite this person that you know is incendiary, who's had a falling out with the right, even though he's still himself right, clearly, but like he's mad that he's lost when everyone else gets to stay in this thing. And you just invite him on your show, you know. So like, and here's the thing is, I think it's fair to say that Elijah Schaffer is at least seditious adjacent. I don't fucking care about him, so be uncomfortable.
But it's not about, I don't like Lauren. Like, I mean, please.
Well, let me just see. I mean, I honestly, I haven't heard any of this stuff.
Like, give me the credit, the dignity and credit of assuming that I don't operate like a fucking sophomoric child, like a high school girl, and determine my political opinions and my journalistic assessments based on whether I like someone or not. So obviously I don't like Lauren. I don't have an opinion about Lauren. I'm talking objectively about what she has done. So there's the thing. Can you make out the numbers?
Does that say 1488?
Yes, it.
That's right.
I love the way Elijah reads it like he doesn't know exactly what those numbers are and what they mean.
Like, you stormed the Capitol with a bunch of neo-Nazis, and you don't know what 1488 means? I can't remember if they get into it on this or not, or whether he just feigns sort of ignorance or they get to it. But for those who don't know, the 14 words were created by David Lane? I know it's Lane. I can't remember the first name. Who was a member of the Order, who was a neo-Nazi organization that was responsible for the killing of Alan Berg, who was a Jewish radio jockey back in the 80s. And in prison, he had come up with the 14 words. I believe this history is correct. And it basically states it's something along the lines of like I should like here's the thing is, as someone who's not a Nazi, I never remember what the 14 words are.
Something along the lines of like we need to create a safe homeland for our white children.
Yeah, something like that, like creating white people and perpetuating the white race, that fun stuff.
We must secure the white race and a future for white children. Maybe, I don't know.
Something along those lines.
I wouldn't know that. No, don't worry about that. No.
And the 88 is the eighth letter of the alphabet is H. So H is Hail Hitler. And this is what you get, 1488. And that, apparently, according to Milo, is a bracelet that Lauren Southern used to wear for a long time and then eventually left at Paul Joseph Watson's house after a sexual escapade with him. Apparently. Allegedly. According to all this stuff.
Congratulations, well done. You can take it off now. This is a Tiffany bracelet that was left at Paul Joseph Watson's house. Did I mention after he fucked her?
Are you and Paul cool or I mean not, I mean that on terms of like do you have?
Yeah, because he's like in my clique, so yeah, like no. Paul is like a decent guy who does decent work, who I have no reason to doubt, who I have worked with successfully for many years. Yes. Who I trust and who has, as far as I can tell, although he's got waylaid with a few Infowars a bit of InfoWars nuttiness towards the beginning of his career. More recently has been a pretty rock solid source of information, has never lied to me or anybody else as far as I can tell. And, you know, I spend my whole life gossiping. Gossip is like my currency.
He's a bit of a hurt.
And I will say, all the shit that he just said about Paul Joseph Watson is kind of false. I mean, like, he was, I guess, like, in the early days, he was, like, hardcore into, like, 9/11 trutherism and stuff like this. But Paul Joseph Watson is still, his belief system is still pretty crazy, and he still works somewhat with InfoWars. It's kind of, like, confusing to me. Like, so I listen to Knowledge Fight, which is a good podcast where they cover it. And Paul Joseph Watson still interacts. I think, like, there was at some point, because I remember they did a huge staging where they were like, Paul Joseph is leaving InfoWars and going out on his own. But it's almost like he's now an affiliate as opposed to, like, a member. Like, so, like, the distancing is not far, is what I'm saying. Like, he could have gone full independent, but he still appears on InfoWars. He still hosts the shows occasionally. He still is involved with InfoWars and still hucks their supplements and all that fun stuff. So I guess, you know, Milo's going to be supportive of some people on the right, not on others, and all this fun stuff. But Paul Joseph Watson, still pretty shitty.
It's weird to say, like, Paul doesn't lie, considering at the start of the pandemic he lied about being at a club. Does anyone remember that? Remember when he posted that, like, ridiculous picture of him in a suit that just said "at club"? Does anyone remember that? Remember lying about being to a club when you were just sitting in your living room, Paul? I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing to lie about, Paul.
Well, it's funny that he would even go to a club, because they're going to get into a bit of a discussion about how hermited he is. But I don't remember that about Paul Joseph Watson, but it does not surprise me, because and this is the one thing on Alex Jones's show. What's so amazing is Paul Joseph Watson was famous for, like, he would do, like, I don't know how to describe it, like, kind of like the show notes, and he would direct people, like, oh, like, get the links, like, come over here, and it'll be like where our information is, and the information. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Alex Jones would do this and direct people to this thing, and the links would just direct you back to, like, Paul Joseph Watson, who links his source material back to InfoWars. So it's just a giant fucking circle of bullshit with, like, no original sources, because that's how truthful and legit InfoWars is. I also find this is such a hard thing for me to, like, hold within. I love doing the OK symbol and being like, hey, okay, and I noticed that I did that in my last video, and then I'm like, shit, I cover white nationalist people, and I know that that's, like, this weird dog whistle symbol thing. Like, I know, like, how dog whistles work. I'm not dog whistling when I do it, so it's not necessarily a dog whistle, but, like,
Imperial News dog whistle confirmed.
But I've now become self-conscious of it, and I just did it again, and I'm like, shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
So, I'm not signaling anything, all right? We're good. In the perfect world, InfoWars would be on Adult Swim, and no one would take it seriously. Yes. I mean, that's the thing, is Alex Jones, if Alex Jones didn't come with all the bullshit and didn't try to sell it as a real thing and was just an actor, he'd be amazing. He'd be, like, I love him in the Richard Linklater films when he's just, like, yelling about corruption and shit like that. Like, if we could just, like, distill that Alex Jones and not have the Sandy Hook denialism, the 9/11 trutherism, and the turning the frogs gay and all that fun shit, Alex Jones would be fun. But instead, he's horrifying. Now we're going to finish this up anyways.
He's a bit of a hermit. I remember he showed up at CPAC a couple years ago.
Total hermit, making it all the more impressive that he fucked one on Southern. Did I mention that they had sex? So this is the bracelet that she left at his house, proudly emblazoned with 1488, presumably by somebody else she had sex with, Eastern European fan. If knowing that, would you still participate in her documentary?
I mean, did the person engrave it, or did she engrave it?
The person engraved it as a gift to her, and she then wore it.
I mean, the documentary itself, yeah, I would appear in a documentary about my line of work. That
you'd appear in a documentary made by somebody who wears 1488 on their wrist, day in, day out.
Here's what I would do. I would ask them about it and try to understand.
Elijah, I just want to be really clear. You would participate in a documentary made by somebody who wears 1488 on jewelry around their wrist morning, noon, and night, which can only be interpreted. That's not edgelording. That's allegiance, right? Declaring their allegiance to white nationalist principles, which, you know, just hands the media the ultimate fucking victory over all of us that they've been crying out for. They've been begging.
I would not appear in a documentary
secretly racist.
I would not appear in a documentary of somebody.
If you had known, my question is, if you had known that she wore and continues to wear this bracelet all the time around her wrist, apparently declaring her allegiances, would you have agreed to appear in a film with her?
I would have talked to her before I agreed.
Oh, that's the wrong answer. Come on, man.
I mean, Milo.
Oh my god.
Wow.
This is, yeah, Tony. Tony in the chat is Milo trying to say 1488 is bad? The guy that had a long knives 1488 password. This is the thing. Like this, you gotta think. Milo here is not doing this because he really honestly thinks that Nazism is bad. He's doing this to burn it all the fuck down. Because we know that Milo talked about this shit with Steve Bannon. There was that huge BuzzFeed leak where they leaked their emails. Like, we know Milo is Nazi sympathetic. We know this. He zig hailed at, what was it? It was like didn't video leak of him and Richard Spencer doing karaoke, giving like the zig hail? I feel like that was a thing. Did I just make that up?
We think it's a little bit more important to... Oh, you cut out there.
No, I stopped because you were talking.
Sorry. We think it's we're watching your Twitch in the background, so your words don't match up with your movements. So he just like brings up, you know, that's white supremacist, which just gives the media... He doesn't have a problem with white supremacy. Exactly. He has a problem with the media having some kind of ammunition against him. And we're like, wait, did you just like unironically, like proudly come up with that by yourself, bro? Like, okay.
No, that's the thing, is if you're going to engage in the Nazi, the more overt Nazism, you got to do it on the sly. You can't be doing it on main, right? And so what he's saying is all of this was out, and yet you still went on this person's show. And would you have done it still? And then he's not saying no, and he's gonna get mad at him. But and I got a yep from Tony, so I'm guessing that was in regards to my the Zig Hale video with Richard Spencer and Milo Yiannopoulos.
Come on, man.
Listen. Wait, you gotta give me a second here.
No,
you have to
not,
give me.
No, because what it is, it doesn't take a second to say no.
Because I would want to know somebody. Because I believe in redemption. I think that sometimes people grow out of things. I think sometimes people believe things, they get caught up in the hype of things. I think sometimes they get boldened, they say things, they don't think through things. They get caught up in echo chambers. They develop, they change. And I know that especially Scooter. Yes. I know some of these people that made Hoaxed and whatnot, which I like the Hoaxed. I like the movie. I know that they came and they made this documentary. I appeared in the
telling us that if you were to rip off your shirt, you have like a massive swastika on your chest, and you're just hoping for redemption.
I do have a giant Bible verse on the side of my.
No, well, just as bad. If our mainstream media overlords are to be believed, although I don't happen to think so.
Right, but Milo, what it is, I'm telling you the truth here is that yes.
Let's move on. Look, I get it. You think Lauren's hot. Let's move on.
This is. I'm pretty sure that's the end. They move on from Lauren Southern, but that's actually let's give it 2 more seconds. Let's see Elijah's final response here.
This is proof positive evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that men will forgive just about anything in women if they want to bang them hard. Have you had sex with Lauren Southern?
No, yeah, shit.
Not. Would you have sex with Lauren Southern?
She's a married woman, so.
Would you have had sex with her? She was. I mean, she's like fucked up her face now, but when she was like quite hot or hot-ish for a conservative media figure, would you have had sex with her?
When I was single, I shouldn't have, but I mean, if I just met her on the street and she was just somebody, she was an attractive girl, so I mean,
I thought you were Christian, so sex before marriage is fine, you can be a profligate slut, and it's okay.
No, I said if I was a random guy on the street.
No, but I'm just saying, but if you're fine with profligate.
No, I wasn't banging random girls that I met at work, so I mean.
But I was just asking, would you have had sex with Lauren Southern? It seems to be yes. Okay, so.
Okay, no, how. Okay, look.
What are we even watching?
Milo telegraphed that whole fucking thing, and Elijah still walked into it.
Yeah.
You deserve that, man. You totally deserve that.
What are we just? Wow.
You missed the setup, Philosopher Schaffer.
Well, I mean, we get it. It's just like that exchange was like flabbergasting.
Yeah, this is Milo dragging this person. And granted, again, in case you don't know, Philosopher Shy, this Elijah Schaffer individual is one of the people who stormed the Capitol on Wednesday. So.
So a traitor to our country.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
And not
Traitor.
in the good way.
Not in the good way.
Thanks for catching us up there.
Yes. And this is, and as far as I could tell, this happened back in January, this video exchange. But, and the reason why we're covering it is, again, because Lauren Southern got their start on the people that I cover. And that's where we're at. And now we've reached the hour mark anyways, and we're at the end of this video. So, I don't know if anyone has any final thoughts about this, but I was like, I was amazed by this. This was slightly terrifying. But also, like, it does not surprise me in the least that Lauren Southern would have a 1488 bracelet. If what everything Milo is saying is true here. Which, I don't know, it's Milo. Can it be true? I don't know what's true. But it does not surprise me in the least that would be true.
So that's two former women rebel employees that have since been outed as Nazi or very Nazi adjacent.
Yep. And remember, Kian Bexty used to work for a store, an online store that sold Nazi adjacent memorabilia as well. Rhodesia, I mean, like, I say Nazi adjacent only just because it's not a Nazi flag. But the same people who wear Nazi flags like Rhodesian flags, right? So yeah, Kian Bexty, who's a current employee of the Rebel, likes that shit. And let's not forget, like, Ezra Levant, like, in his book Shakedown, which, like, I put the reviews on hold for a while, until probably my kids go back to school. Eventually, whenever this COVID shit gets worked out. But in his book, The Shakedown, like, we did the whole chapter. And thanks again to, like, Kurt. Kurt was a big, all the work that Kurt did for Anti-Racist Canada, his blog. And Kurt was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he's still there. But all the work that he did on that blog, like, really helped, like, elucidate some of the connections of the people that Ezra talked about in that book. Because he had a specific chapter where he was talking about how these poor people were being brought to these human rights trial and were not given their due process, and all just for saying things that weren't politically correct. And every time you dug into them, and this is where Kurt's research really helped, the shit that they were saying was vile Nazi shit. Like, not just like casual Nazi shit. It was like either denying the Holocaust or saying the Holocaust was all right and cool, and I'm glad that it happened. Reminder that some of the people that, like, went to the Capitol yesterday were wearing shirts that said 4 million aren't enough. So these are the people storming your Capitol this past Wednesday. And so Ezra, he writes this chapter in his book Shakedown, talking about these poor people who are being taken advantage of by the human rights tribunes in Canada. And all these people are Nazis. And not once in that whole chapter does he mention that these people are actually Nazis. In fact, he avoids the subject altogether. Doesn't source, doesn't cite, doesn't mention, doesn't link, nothing. They're just poor people. And the only reason that I could piece it together was on, like, the facts of the case that he outlines that are completely, like, devoid of any Nazi content. And he did that on purpose, because you have to. If you're going to do this, you're doing it on purpose. And that's why it's sad, like, right? Ezra's Jewish. And yet, for some reason, he keeps hiring Nazis, Nazi sympathizers, and he doesn't find a problem with Nazis that he mentions in his own goddamn book. And the people that work for him, he sends to cover things like Charlottesville, not on the side of the anti-fascists, but he sends them to cover like I promote rather than cover the other side, the fascists, the people who are yelling blood and soil. And in this case, the seditionists, who all seem to have neo-Nazi connections, who a ton of them had been at Charlottesville previously, who decided to storm the Capitol in a seditious act to kidnap and handcuff people, Congress people, elected people, and overthrow democracy in the name of their white nationalist fascist dreams. But of course, Trump's not a fascist. Why are you lib cucks believing all these lies? Trump's not fascist. Everything's fine. It's the cultural Marxists that are the problem. Like this is
I
the
know
reason.
you're speaking my language.
This is the reason why I did my show this past Wednesday on centrist bullshit. Because what's happening right now? All the fucking centrists are coming out of the woodwork with their bullshit about like, see, the coup failed, so therefore it wasn't a problem in the first place, and why do we have to worry about it? Really, the problem is the fact that we have all these postmodern Marxist professors that are in charge of all the university campuses. That's the real problem. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, that is kind of Nazi-ish. And it's kind of Nazi-ish because what were the people in Germany at that time worried about? Social degeneracy, right? That's what the Nazis rode in on. They rode in on the idea that there was all this cultural shit that was problematic, right? And some of those ideas have changed. They're not the same cultural things that are degenerate. But that is kind of what's going on here. Right? All this degeneracy in the university campuses that are the problem. Go, Vienna.
And not, the Nazis first got into government in direct alliance with the German conservatives. It wasn't, oh, there are these dividing lines. It was they were separate parties back then, but they worked alongside one another in order to literally get Hitler into power.
Yeah. And you look at all the... It's amazing to me, I think, how little people... here's the thing, is I think there's a lot of tension between people because people don't want to say that these people, you don't want to give them too much credit that they could have succeeded because that seems to embolden them in some way. But here's what I'm saying. I think it has less to do with them and the fact of how close the maneuvers would have been within the apparatus as a whole for them to have succeeded. I don't think you succeed just by storming a Capitol building. You succeed when, as you're storming the Capitol building, maybe one or two military members go, maybe I can get some of my soldiers to come with me, and maybe we would side with them. Now, and Trump probably asked somebody and was like, hey, can we get the military in there to side with them? Or something like this? And we don't know what happened in those talks. We know they probably happened. We don't know how they went. We might never know how they went.
There were rumors about how the National Guard refused to come in before the protests and stuff like that, specifically because then they would be under Trump's authority if they were the DC National Guard, because they're a branch of the regular army and Trump is commander-in-chief. Which is why they had to eventually send in the Maryland and Virginia National Guards, because those are under the authority of those states rather than under Trump's direct authority.
I was watching, and I see, it's hard. There's so much information coming in, so I don't know how things have changed and whatnot. But I was listening to Rachel Maddow last night. Yes, even though I'm a lefty, I listen to what the libs have to say.
How dare you? You're canceled.
But I was listening to Rachel Maddow.
I'm canceling my Patreon.
And she had a clip of the, I want to say Maryland governor, who he realized that he couldn't just send in the Maryland troops or National Guard. It's not National Guard, it's state, I don't know what the fucking designations are. But he realized he needed the national authority before he sent them into another jurisdiction and couldn't reach anyone. They just weren't picking up the phones. Which, what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know what it means. Do you know what it means? But then you're still sitting there going, talks were probably happening. And here's the thing is, I don't think they actually were going to see it. I don't actually think that it was that close. But I don't know. And here's the thing is, like, it should never get to that fucking point. These people need to be relegated to the outskirts of society so they never get this fucking chance. And that's how it's got to be. So if you're a liberal, welcome to the left. We'll help you. We anti-fascists will relegate them to the side. And you should want to be our allies instead of worrying about a few lootings and stuff like this. Just saying. Any closing thoughts before we sign off this ending, which was very deep and philosophical? No thoughts.
No, nothing really. No, that's wow.
I talked over you, Vienna. So how about you say what you were gonna say because I liked it. Vienna?
Pardon?
I know what you said, but I was talking over you, so I wanted you to say it a little bit more clearly and with confidence.
Oh, I said fuck Rebel News.
Fuck Rebel News. And if you want to know more about Rebel News, I have a podcast. I also do these streams. And I have appreciated people have stuck around for... I don't want to hear you talking more. People have stuck around for the not explicitly Rebel-related content. This was surprisingly Rebel-related. I didn't know going into this how much Rebel I was going to be doing, but this turned out to be pretty Rebel-y. Rebel-ish? Rebel-adjacent? So that's good. I will
Rebellious.
say... Yeah, Wednesday... When it gets to it, Wednesday of next week, I will have an awesome human being locally to me named Alexandra Kane, who is one of the organizers of Black Lives Matter London. And we're going to have her on the show, and I'm going to try to do my first live stream interview on this channel. It'll again be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Twitch stream, and then I will again post it on YouTube. But... Again, so my Wednesdays, I think as it goes forward from now, I'm going to do my Wednesdays are going to be a little less Rebel-related on certain issues. So I did centrism last week. And my Fridays, I'm going to try to stay with Rebel. But again, like a week like this, they didn't really give me much. So we went with Milo Yiannopoulos and Elijah Schaffer, which is fine. I think it worked out. But I do have a Patreon. I will say... One fun thing on the business side of the podcast is this was the first month ever that we made a profit on this podcast. And that's because like with the Patreon donations that we had, they were paying for back costs of things having to do with the Adobe suite that I use to edit the stuff. And the cost of web hosting and all that fun stuff. It wasn't a big profit. I think we're above like $9. But that is again going to go down next month because next month is when we pay for our web hosting. But it won't take us as long to get out of the debt this time. And so my hope is like as a profit accumulates, what I'll be doing with the profit is investing, at least at this point, reinvesting into the podcast to do things like improve my mic quality and stuff like this. But if you donate, the faster I can get to improving my mic quality and improving the overall show. There is a chance come February or March, I will have some additional income that I can then pay into it anyways, but also being recouped for that would be very pleasant. I would appreciate it. So please consider being a patron. I always get that fucked up, but consider being a patron. If you want to hop on the Friday streams like Vienno, Ken, and Elron in the chat, it's $10 a month. Philosopher Shy joined in. I gotta fix something on Discord. No, I didn't mind you being here, Philosopher Shy. I don't mean this like in a negative light, but it's but I do have this space saved for the $10 patrons, and I just have to get off my ass and fix that on Discord. It has
Say fixed? What?
It's
I did not know my patron tier signed me up for that.
It's really stupid, but like somehow I connected my patron to the Discord, but that prevented me from creating a patron role on the Discord. And so I created a Patreon thing that just I started lumping all the patrons together, and then Clara jumped on one time, and now Philosopher does time. So it's like, here's the thing: is I'm getting more patrons, so that's nice. But now I have to now have like tiers of patrons in the Discord, such that only certain patrons. And like it'll be an easy fix. I'll probably do it tonight, but I keep forgetting until things like this happen. Then it's like, oh yes, I forgot. I have to do that. So. But thank you for tuning in, and thanks for those who donated. Thanks to the folks in the chat, and I'm gonna find someone to raid, and you all can say goodbye and stuff.
Goodbye and stuff.
That is a great goodbye, Ken. And hello to any of Ken's friends, if they ended up sticking around this late.
I have friends? Oh yeah.
Goodbye and stuff.
There doesn't seem to be anyone that I would raid. So, guess that's it. Do you got a goodbye there, Elrond? Elrond's...
Don't be a fascist. Goodbye.
Those are good words to end on. Don't be a fascist. Thanks to everyone on a chat. On a chat? Jesus Christ, I'm getting tired. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks to everyone at home. Thanks for everyone who's watching it right now on YouTube. See ya.